Hi everyone, we are back at it again with another Sports Business Classroom post-game show. Tonight we are covering the Houston Rockets and the Golden State Warriors. The Rockets beat the Warriors 118 to 101. And tonight, I am Ariana. We have Leo here, Wilton, and Mario. So guys, let's get down to it. What are some key highlights from tonight's game?
So when I think about tonight's game, it's a pretty random one, but the first thing I think of, Lester Quinones, he had 8 assists tonight, didn't shoot too well, but there was one of those assists. He drove into the paint, made a great bounce pass to a cutter for an open layup, just showed a lot of that feel for the game that he's developing, and I think going forward he could be a good Jordan Poole replacement.
Ooh.
I think one other player, when I look at the Rockets, I think about Trevor Hudgens. This is a guy who always finds separation from, getting away from his defenders. And this is the second straight game where he's shot like he finished with double figures. His separation in being able to get away from opponents to knock down a three-point shot has been phenomenal.
For me, it's Cam Whitmore. He was amazing tonight. I think it was his 7th or 8th steal that ended up with a breakaway dunk and a two-hand from right inside the free throw line. His athleticism, his ability to score, his shoot, his impact on the floor was immense all night, but that really stood out to me.
Great. So other than the players that you have already mentioned, what are some other players that really set the court on fire?
So I want to give a shout out to Jermaine Samuels Jr., 7 for 12 tonight, 18 points, 6 assists, 6 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 blocks, filling up the stat sheet. This is a guy who's played in the G League with the Mad Ants. He played for Nova in college. He has not had much of a chance at the NBA level, but I thought he's really proving why he might deserve a spot this year with the Rockets.
I think for me, I look at Matthew Mayer, someone who has come off the bench. You're talking about a guy who finished with 15 points, 7 rebounds. Most people forget he was on that Baylor championship team, but he ended up playing his last year at Illinois. And these last 2 games, like when the Rockets have needed a bucket, he's been there to give a bucket, a three-point shot when needed. So that's somebody I'm really looking forward to see continue with the Rockets for Summer League.
Piggybacking off that same message, Rockets hit 23s tonight. Darius Days himself went 5 for 10 for three-point line. And as Houston tries to grow from the young team they had last season, gets more polished, they have a new coach, they have some veteran players in there. Seeing these young guys step up and really stretch the floor will help acclimate what they're going to try and do this season. So I was excited to see that for them.
I want to talk a little about the Warriors guys, too. Gui Santos in particular, yes. He had a solid game, 14 points, 4 boards. But I actually was lucky enough to meet with someone who was a G League beat reporter for the Warriors G League team. He was able to meet Santos and interview him, and he couldn't say enough nice things about this guy. He said despite Santos, he got to America from Brazil, didn't speak much English, but he was still willing to talk to the kids, stay after, do autographs. And he puts in that extra work on the court, too. He does all the dirty work nobody else wants to do. He's a great energy guy, and I think it's going to pay off for him. He might get a spot. I think he deserves it.
Definitely. I mean, he was a two-way last year, and he's really improved this summer. He's been very good for Golden State, and he's definitely earned minutes for that team.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And then looking at the Warriors, we would fail to mention Trace Jackson-Davis. He made his debut in Summer League today. You're talking about a player who came from Indiana. He finished the game with 14.7 rebounds. You could see early on he had a little rust because it's his first game, but he came along in the second half. And I was really glad to see what he was able to do in the second half.
Of course. Now, the Warriors, come on, 118 to 101. I'm a Warriors fan, so I was kind of disappointed.
Have they won a game in Summer League yet?
They have not.
Let's not talk about that too much. Look, go easy. So let's get down to it, shall we? What did you see out of the Warriors that really just need improvement?
So Lester, I did say I liked him earlier, but he did shoot 2 for 11. That's 18%, and 0 for 9 from 3, which is obviously not great. He did he got some boards, and he had his assists, which I really like to see from him. But if he's going to be the volume scorer that I think he can be to replace what they lost in Jordan Poole, he's got to shoot better than 2 for 11, and he has to make at least a couple of those threes. It can't be 0 for 9.
Yeah.
Another bright spot for the Warriors, even after coming after that, is Reggie Perry. You're talking about a guy who's been in the NBA for a couple of years now, bounced around. But, he finished with 17 points, 8 rebounds. And I like the way that he plays. He's not just someone who's just going to score in the paint. Like, he knocked down some critical shots just within the mid-range. And if I'm not mistaken, he knocked down a three-point shot in that game. So that was a bright spot, especially for a Warriors team. We know in the regular season, Draymond is their big force in the paint. So Reggie Perry is kind of that guy that can stretch the floor a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see what dynamic he can bring to that team if he makes the team.
And I don't think Warrior fans should be dismayed about the lack of wins in the summer league, because Golden State plays a very detailed offense in regular season. In summer league, they're playing a stream down, a strip version, kind of what everybody else is running, but it's not Warriors basketball. It's just very generic basketball. So new players that come join the team can get fit in and just can evaluate. When they really get into camp with Kerr and everything, and they're really running Warriors basketball, then you can better evaluate how they fit in their system. Some of them look well, but I wouldn't hold this against them for being in the summer league, because it's not the same thing.
I agree with that.
I agree with Mario. Let me just tell you that. I agree.
Thank you.
In terms of the Warriors in specific, I think, because they have such a complicated offensive system with all the movement and the cutting everywhere, that's going to be hard for some of these summer league guys to get used to if they make it up to that roster in the regular season.
Okay, that's great. Love the feedback. So I also want to add, could this be a bounce back season for the Warriors?
I think they were pretty close last year. I think they just ran into a juggernaut in the Lakers. Juggernaut is a weird way to describe a team that got swept in the conference finals, but you know, specifically in terms of their size, that's really just not a good matchup for the Warriors. So I don't think they need to look on last year too negatively. I think they just kind of ran into a bad matchup for them. I don't know what you guys think.
I think it could be a bounce back year. I think the most interesting thing that I want to see is how Chris Paul is going to fit in that system. I mean, you're talking about Steph Curry. We know what Steph's going to do. We know what Klay's going to do. We know what Draymond and what he means to this particular team. But to see where Chris Paul, does he get in the starting lineup? Does he fall in the second wave of offense for the Warriors? So honestly, I think that he fits better coming in as a second wave as opposed to a starter. But it'll be interesting to see. I still have them at least a 4 or 5 seed in the West next season.
Okay.
I hesitate to say there was a down year even last season.
I agree.
It's hard to measure teams based off old standards, and we had 2 8 seeds make it to the conference finals in Miami and the Lakers. They were both in the play-in, almost lost their play-in game, and then would go to the conference finals because the regular seasons became more about whoever's healthy. There's so many teams with so much depth and so much talent in the league-wise now. It's really who phases itself out as the season goes on. And as Troy mentioned, the playoffs are about matchups. Lakers are a bad matchup. They're a big team. Golden State really hasn't added much size, so if they have faced another big team, they'll probably be in trouble again. But if they can have a team that they can match up better with, they'll have much more success. So, and wherever it matches up, that's a long time from now, so we'll have to see how it plays out.
All right. Well, that's all the time that we have today, folks. Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Ariana. This is Leo, Mario, and Wilton, and we'll hope to see you back soon.
Thank you.